In 2026, the Philippines takes the helm of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations at a pivotal time for our region, a region of nearly 700 million people poised to become the world's fourth largest economy by 2030. Guided by the theme, Navigating Our Future Together, the ASEAN Philippines 2026 Chairship reflects the journey of a region united in diversity, moving forward with shared vision, deeper connection, and renewed purpose. This spirit comes to life in the ASEAN 2026 logo, a symbol rooted in tradition, shaped by innovation, and inspired by the strength of a community charting a common course. At its heart is the Balangay, a pre-colonial Filipino boat reimagined here to represent the ASEAN vessel, many nations aboard one journey, navigating the currents of global transformation side by side. Flowing beneath it is a wave, drawn from the waters that connect our member states. These seas have long carried our trade, our dialogue, and our solidarity. Anchoring the design is a golden rice stalk, a symbol of nourishment, resilience, and our shared pursuit of food security. Look closely. 11 grains line the stalk, each one representing a member state, including Timor-Leste, recently welcomed into our ASEAN family. Interwoven into the design is a weave pattern, reflecting our strength and diversity, cultures, values, and aspirations bound together in one vibrant tapestry of unity and progress. Together, these elements mirror the Philippines' priority as chair, securing peace, building prosperity, and empowering people. This is not just a logo, it's a call to journey forward, navigating our future together. In 2026, the Philippines takes the helm of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations at a pivotal time for our region, a region of nearly 700 million people poised to become the world's fourth largest economy by 2030. Guided by the theme, Navigating Our Future Together, the ASEAN Philippines 2026 Chairship reflects the journey of a region united in diversity, moving forward with shared vision, deeper connection, and renewed purpose. This spirit comes to life in the ASEAN 2026 logo, a symbol rooted in tradition, shaped by innovation, and inspired by the strength of a community charting a common course. At its heart is the Balangay, a pre-colonial Filipino boat reimagined here to represent the ASEAN vessel, many nations aboard one journey, navigating the currents of global transformation side by side. Flowing beneath it is a wave, drawn from the waters that connect our member states. These seas have long carried our trade, our dialogue, and our solidarity. Anchoring the design is a golden rice stalk, a symbol of nourishment, resilience, and our shared pursuit of food security. Look closely. 11 grains line the stalk, each one representing a member state, including Timor-Leste, recently welcomed into our ASEAN family. Interwoven into the design is a weave pattern, reflecting our strength and diversity, cultures, values, and aspirations bound together in one vibrant tapestry of unity and progress. Together, these elements mirror the Philippines' priority as chair, securing peace, building prosperity, and empowering people. This is not just a logo, it's a call to journey forward, navigating our future together. In 2026, the Philippines takes the helm of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations at a pivotal time for our region, a region of nearly 700 million people poised to become the world's fourth largest economy by 2030. Guided by the theme, Navigating Our Future Together, the ASEAN Philippines 2026 Chairship reflects the journey of a region united in diversity, moving forward with shared vision, deeper connection, and renewed purpose. This spirit comes to life in the ASEAN 2026 logo, a symbol rooted in tradition, shaped by innovation, and inspired by the strength of a community charting a common course. At its heart is the Balangay, a pre-colonial Filipino boat reimagined here to represent the ASEAN vessel, many nations aboard one journey, navigating the currents of global transformation side by side. Flowing beneath it is a wave, drawn from the waters that connect our member states. These seas have long carried our trade, our dialogue, and our solidarity. Anchoring the design is a golden rice stalk, a symbol of nourishment, resilience, and our shared pursuit of food security. Look closely. 11 grains line the stalk, each one representing a member state, including Timor-Leste, recently welcomed into our ASEAN family. Interwoven into the design is a weave pattern, reflecting our strength and diversity, cultures, values, and aspirations bound together in one vibrant tapestry of unity and progress. Together, these elements mirror the Philippines' priority as chair, securing peace, building prosperity, and empowering people. This is not just a logo, it's a call to journey forward, navigating our future together.
bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay.
Lupang hihirang, duyan ka ng magiting.
Sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingil.
Sa dagat ang tulong, sa simoy at sa langit mong lugaw. May dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal.
Ang iskap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding.
Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidiin.
Mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
In 2026,
To our partners from the International Labor Organization, Mr. Jordi Pratuca, Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, and of course to Assistant Director General and Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, Kaori Nakamura Osaka, for making the ILO's team of experts available to us and for providing technical assistance. To our all-women team from the GIZ Recotwin Project, Ms. Pamela Grafilo, Ms. Gladys Gopez, and Teresa Topfer, and Ms. Miriam Heitman, our deepest gratitude for serving as our principal partner in hosting the activities for our 2026 ASEAN Chairship. Distinguished delegates and representatives from the ASEAN member states and the ASEAN TVET Council, valued partners and stakeholders from the Philippines and across the ASEAN region, a pleasant afternoon to all. It is my honor to welcome you to the first TVET Technical Policy Dialogue on Digital Transformation and the Future of Skills. We had the pleasure of working with the International Labor Organization and Recotwin to bring this dialogue to life. This policy dialogue is part of the series of activities under the Philippines 2026 Chairship of ASEAN, held under the theme Navigating Our Future Together and the sub-theme ASEAN Skilled for the Future. The first of many dialogues and high-level engagements this year. I am confident we will have a substantive and future-looking exchange. I hope that all participants from all sectors who are with us today share the same fervor. After all, the work that we will do here today is all about fortifying our region's technical vocational education and training, so we can further contribute to socio-economic growth. We can achieve this better as we work to make ASEAN TVET Council as the primary engine for regional skills development. All of us in this room are perfectly aware of the value of TechVoc or TVET, and thus, our expectations for this engagement should only be about accomplishing utmost productivity, making progress, and creating momentum for our mid- and long-term goals. This first TVET Policy Dialogue's focus will be on digitalization, and we must all admit that digital tools are ever more present in our daily work than we realize. We may not use AI to write our speeches, but they still do find their way into this process. Spell check, predictive text, and online platforms that help us stay informed and properly contextualize today's discussions. It is, in a small way, a fitting illustration of where we now stand. Digital transformation has already woven itself into how we work, write, and think, whether or not we consciously invite it in. That is precisely the shift we are to examine over the next 2 days. The global labor market is undergoing a structural transformation driven by digital technologies, and the convergence of AI, robotics, and the Internet of Things is redefining the value and the definition of human labor. For ASEAN, this is both an opportunity and a challenge. Automation offers a significant boost to productivity, but it also requires that our workers adapt so that the gap between current competencies and industry requirements does not widen further. Recent research from the ILO tells us that the principal effect of AI is likely to be the transformation of tasks within occupations, rather than the outright elimination of occupations altogether. Though exposure is consistently higher in clerical and administrative work, and notably higher among women, reflecting persistent patterns of occupational sex segregation. At the same time, automation continues to affect routine manual tasks in lower skilled occupations, including in manufacturing sectors of real significance to our region. Exposure alone, however, does not determine vulnerability. Young people are concentrated in entry-level roles where exposure to these shifts are highest, while older workers, workers in the informal economy, persons with disabilities, and those in rural or remote areas record their lowest participation in training. UNESCO Univoc's work on bridging innovation and learning in TVET has examined the common denominators and enablers of successful digital transformation, ranging from infrastructure and teacher training to curricular reforms and industry partnerships, all pointing to the stronger recognition that TVET must play a central role in preparing our workforce for digital and AI-driven economies. But let us be clear. Technology must complement, not replace, the human element in TVET. Even as AI is increasingly used for TVET delivery, making instruction more personalized and tailored, it does not eliminate the need for human facilitation. If anything, it reinforces the importance of structured supervision throughout the learning process. We continue to explore how AI can be integrated into TVET systems to make training delivery more flexible and learner-centric. Without compromising the quality of training, any transformation in TVET must be value-adding and sustainability in mind. That's why over this two-day dialogue, we will examine the profound implications of digitalization, artificial intelligence, automation, and other emerging technologies on education, skills development, and the future of work in ASEAN. As our region accelerates its digital transformation agenda, this dialogue will provide a platform for ASEAN member states to exchange experiences, policies, and innovative practices. Our program will open with scene-setting sessions, then presentations from member states to share their own initiatives. For the Philippines part, we look forward to presenting TESDA's Kagaling, our very own course builder powered by artificial intelligence. On the second day, we will hold roundtable discussions on governance, operationalization and partnerships, and financing and sustainability. This is echoed in our own government's efforts to prepare Filipinos for the digital economy. As President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has said in his 5th State of the Nation address, AI is here to stay. So we adopt it to harness its potential to enhance critical sectors, from our educational system to our industries. Yet none of this progress will be equitably shared unless we also address the very real divides in connectivity, infrastructure, digital literacy, and the capacity of our TVET personnel across member states. Participation in digitally delivered training remains lowest precisely among learners and workers who stand to gain the most from it, those in rural and remote areas, and those working in micro and small enterprises. As we speak of digital transformation, we must speak in the same breath of access, inclusivity, and the protection of the vulnerable. What we hope to achieve, the future of TVET in ASEAN, will depend heavily on our ability to innovate and to collaborate. Over these 2 days, I hope we will identify the priority areas for regional cooperation and generate concrete recommendations to strengthen our region's digital readiness, our future skills development, our workforce resilience, and our lifelong learning systems across ASEAN. I look forward to the insights that each of you will bring to this dialogue. Let this be a genuine exchange, one where we will listen as much as we will speak, and where the recommendations we generate will reflect the full diversity of our region. I thank the ILO and RECOTWIN once more for collaborating with us, and I thank all of you, our distinguished delegates, for making the time to be here as we open this important chapter of the Philippines-ASEAN Chairship. Let us navigate our future together, and let us ensure that TVET remains at the heart of how ASEAN builds a skilled, resilient, and inclusive workforce for the digital age. Thank you very, very much, and mabuhay tayong lahat.
barrier for achieving just digital transitions. Next, please. So how is the digital transformation affecting skills requirement and how skills and TVET system need to respond? Next, please. So some studies show that digitization, including AI, is rapidly changing skills requirements. So, for example, the latest report by World Economic Forum indicates that nearly 40% of the workers' existing skill sets are expected to change or become outdated by 2030. And then LinkedIn is actually estimated even higher. It's 70% of the skills used in most jobs are expected to change by 2030. So this tables on the right is actually a top 10 fastest growing skills in 2025 and 2030 provided by World Economic Forum. It's really interesting. It shows interesting result. The fast growing skills, the top 3 are technology related skills. So you can see AI, big data, and so on. But from the rank 4 downwards, 4 to 10, is really the mix of cognitive and then emotional and then social skills. So what it really indicates is that a digital transformation requires really the combination of technical, cognitive, and social emotional skills. And then maybe not just focusing on digital skills in a technical sense, it seems to be not enough. Next slide, please. This finding is quite consistent, or it's I would say quite aligned with the finding of the latest ILO analysis as well. The ILO looked at and analyzed the online job vacancy data from 6 middle-income countries and 2 high-income countries, right? So I should mention a country very quickly. Brazil, Egypt, Jordan, Morocco, Russia, Federation, South Africa. And from the high-income countries include the UAE and Uruguay. So what it really shows is that, yes, the results show that employers are asking for technology-related skills, which include from general computing, software skill, machine learning, and AI skills. But they are asking at the same that these skills need to be paired with social emotional skills and then a higher order cognitive skills. It appears that this cognitive skills is very much needed to really make a maximum use of what the AI can produce. And then translate the AI's work to improve the work performance. So the worker need to have skills to set and ask the right question to AI, need to strategize where and how AI can be integrated into there, and assess and judge what the AI can produce, right? So, and then another thing is that social emotional skills are also foundational to perform work in human organizations. AI can the process and analyze data. They can do coding, but it is after all that only human can emphasize colleagues and clients and develop the relationship and cooperate. And then take that actually and translate the work that are produced by AI to meet the common objective. Right. So I just wanted to highlight that again, that the need for the combination of skills, demand for the combination arising from the existing studies. Next, please. So in this context, the digital transformation presents the 2 key priorities for TVET system. So one is that one is to support the digital transformation of the economy and then assist all workers and enterprise to benefit from the transformation. And then another one is to transform the skills in TVET system themselves to improve its skills and the service to everybody. So that this slide is the first one. So what kind of action is required? First of all, we need to have a more granular understanding of really what really the digital skill needs are in each priority sector. The digital skills required in the construction sector and the digital skills required in the customer care and sales are quite different. And then we need to really develop the program based on the granular understanding on this. And then for that, it is not engaging the industry partners, social partner is not enough. Almost need to work really side by side with them. Another point is that ensuring basic digital skills is a must, right, for all. And this is it's a critical for so that to leave no one behind. However, as I have mentioned so far, that to really to have a more broad view about the skills requirement to support the digital transformation, really focusing on the basic digital literacy seems to be not enough. And then it need to have a really social emotional competency, the cognitive skills to really to make use of the AI capabilities. Also that the understanding the ethical concern. I think that the skills concerning critical, strategic, systemic thinking is in a communication problem solving. Those are very critical to really to see that for human to really to be very much in control of the AI, not being controlled by them. What technology and AI need to be adapted in a workplace and how they are managed. But in order to develop the skills like this, it's not really, unfortunately, can be done over the short training courses, right? It needs to start early in the education system. So here, the synergy between education sector, TVET sector, higher education is very, very critical. And then I will add another point, also that strengthening the lifelong learning to enable workers to continue skilling after during their working lives is very important. Our data shows that workers who have a regularly access to reskilling and upskilling, they are resilient. But at the same time, the study shows that those who have access to those training are largely concentrated on working for the larger enterprises, high-income countries, and then we really need to strengthen this lifelong learning system further. And then I already made a point about that. More working closely with social partners. Next, please. So in terms of the second point about the digital transformation of the TVET sector, I think that the digital technologies, including AI, really present us with huge opportunities. I think that it's a big data is available and the text analysis, it enables us to have a more real-time, granular level skill needs identification. It will really help us to really timely update the skill standard and curriculum. It's a huge contribution potentially for the overcoming the so-called skill mismatch, improving the relevance of the skills and TVET system. It also enables us to have efficient data management analysis. It's improved monitoring evaluation and then more evidence-based policy review and development. Like this also system, like a scheme, like a skills passport also could improve the skill portability. Distance learning could also improve the outreach. So that as I think the Philippines has already started doing this, but also working on the jobs and skills mismatch, AI supported the tool could improve that is matching of the jobs and skills. And then as well as a cross-border comparability analysis of the competency and standards. So, but it is important that in order to do that, it's a first, strategically direct and then integrate, assess the use of AI. I think that, and then translate its capability into action to really achieve what we set out to do. I think I might end. And then I also echo what the Secretary have mentioned earlier, that it's the importance of human elements in education and training. I think that this remains absolutely important. And then I would like to underscore that. And then I'll move to the final slide. I think for, next slide, please. So internal, this kind of digital availability of the digital technology can also provide a huge opportunity for regional cooperation. And I will run out of time now, so I will not explain too much of detail, and then hopefully they're more illustrated better in the subsequent sessions of this dialogue. But they could be, this technology could be a significant enabler for advancing some of the long-standing regional skills agenda, such as skills harmonization and mobility, and the development of maybe obtain a regional level skills intelligence in LMI, also developing a regional skills standard and program and certification, not just simply harmonizing them, but they open up the opportunity and possibility for us to do it. It also can enable us joint monitoring evaluation, supporting at the regional level evidence-based policy development, and also the capacity building. But again, I repeat what I mentioned for the national initiative as well. We need the leadership and then cooperation to really, again, strategically direct and then deciding how and what AI to be adapted, how it should be managed, how they should be integrated into our achieving our regional agenda, and then assess the use of and what the AI produce, and then ensuring that it is in fact leading to helping us to achieve and support our ASEAN aspiration of supporting more resilient and future ready ASEAN workforce. So anyway, I just it's a little covered a little bit detail, but hopefully that I managed to share with you some of the key trends and then data that could be useful for the subsequent discussion for this afternoon and then tomorrow afternoon. It is really the honor to work with you, and then also the TESDA and then the ASEAN members and colleagues, and then I look forward to continue working with you in supporting important TVET agenda. Thank you for the opportunity again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akiko, for laying out such clear and insightful baseline. Indeed, digital transformation isn't just changing where we work or what tools we use. It is fundamentally redefining the skills required to stay relevant in today's economy. We will now jump into our Insight Session 1, titled Facilitating Cross-Border Digital Partnerships for TVET Transformation. As the region accelerates its digital transformation agenda, ASEAN member states are strengthening cooperation to harness artificial intelligence and other digital technologies to modernize TVET systems and prepare the workforce for the future. This session will explore the practicalities of cross-border digital partnerships, focusing on how global implementation milestones, governance frameworks, and infrastructure models can help ASEAN member states build more resilient and AI-ready TVET ecosystems at pace. Our first speaker for Insight Session 1 is a technical specialist on skills in the future of work at the ILO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. In this role, he provides technical advice on the design and implementation of skills development initiatives across the Asia-Pacific region. Prior to his current position, he served as ILO Regional Technical and Program Coordinator for Skills for Prosperity in Southeast Asia program, based at the ILO Regional Office in Bangkok. He holds a degree in law and from Rovira e Virgili University in Spain, and a master's degree in business administration and public policy from Polytechnic University of Madrid and the University of Michigan, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, let us warmly welcome Mr. Jordi Prat-Tuca. Mr. Jordi, the virtual floor is now yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction and for sharing my bio. Dear Director General of TESDA, Kiko Benitez, Deputy Director General Rosana Urdaneta, representative from ASEAN member states, representative from ASEAN TVET Council, ASEAN Secretariat, also representative from employers and workers organizations across ASEAN, as well as training providers, colleagues from international organizations, including GIZ colleagues that are here today. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for having me here in this first Insight session. So it's a pleasure to join you all, and I hope I can connect with some of the relevant insights shared by my colleague Kiko, and also during the opening remarks by Director General Kiko Benitez. So my presentation and the first presentation of the Insight session centers around the Digital Skills Coalition. And let me start perhaps before moving to the first slide with an argument that I think connects with what was said earlier by my colleague Kiko, but also during the opening remarks. So digital technologies, and in particular AI, are not eliminating jobs in our region. What they are doing is changing the tasks inside them. And this is very important. So it's not about job losses, it's about changes in occupations and in tasks within those occupations. As the tasks change, the description of those also should evolve, and this has an impact on occupational and competency standards that are responding to it. And subsequently, then we can think of qualifications and curricula that needs to adapt to the occupational standards and to the new job profiles that are being created as we speak. And I think, and all of us, we would agree, this is not, when we talk about digital technologies and AI, this is not just an IT problem or an IT question. Yes, IT people should be involved, but this is a much broader policy discussion in which skills and lifelong learning is central. The difficulty from my point of view is that our systems were not built to update, revise, and update national, occupational, and skill standards at a pace that perhaps the labor market requires. The good news, though, is that there are technologies, there is innovation already out there, which has been applied in countries within ASEAN, but also outside ASEAN. However, the integration of those technologies is still yet to arrive. And I think there I can see one of the main challenges that our proposal through the Digital Skills Coalition is trying to address, to integrate, different solutions, different functionalities to respond to the challenge, to the argument I made, and also that connects with what all the findings shared by my colleague Akiko. If you can move to the next slide, please. My slides, and I try to stick to the 15 minutes, which will be a little bit difficult, but hopefully I can make it. I have four main blocks. The first one is evidence, and this evidence connects with what was said earlier by my colleague Akiko, and intentionally wanted to use this first slide to make sure that you see the linkage between the evidence and the proposal that will come later. The second part of the second block would be on challenges and opportunities ahead. And then I will continue with what has worked elsewhere. So what evidence we've been able to assess and identify and assess, and finally, and last but not least, on the proposal of the ILO. When it comes to the evidence and what you see here, some of the figures at the top of the screen were shared by my colleague Akiko before, but I think it's important to remind it to everybody. 1 in 4 workers globally are in occupations with some generative AI exposure. The figures are very much the same across ASEAN and across ASEAN member states combined. When we look at the share of employment and exposure, it's 11% in low-income countries on average, 34% in high-income countries globally. When we go into ASEAN, it varies. So we have countries like Singapore with 42%, and then followed by Philippines, 28%, and other countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam with roughly 21% as per the data that you see here on the screen with the source that also it's presented to you. What this means for skills and TVET systems, and I think it was said earlier, but I would like to emphasize on that. Most occupations combine both skills that can be in some way or another automated, but also those are combined with human-centric skills and tasks, right? And tasks that only a human can perform at the level that we are doing at the moment. So transformation of jobs rather than replacement is the most likely outcome, at least in the short and mid-term. And changes in the task composition of existing occupations has a direct impact, as I said earlier, to national occupational and competency standards, which are clearly within the mandate of the TVET system and within the mandate of those institutions and representative of those institutions across ASEAN member states that are here today attending this event. So if we can move to the next slide, this is some of the evidence, AI and digital technologies and AI not only transforming tasks, but also requiring a combination of different skill sets. Now, continuing what this means for skills and TVET systems, here on the left side, you have a box in which I try to define in a simple manner a few stages of the performance of a public TVET system with a sequence that I share with colleagues in previous meetings, and I tend to refer to it because I think visually it helps us to understand. And the sequence is a number of interdependent functions, as you can see here on the screen. And the first stage is that the labor market information and skills anticipation and intelligence is the one informing occupational standards. So the design and update of occupational standards that respond to those changes in tasks within occupations has to be informed by labor market information on skills, so skills intelligence, and we have to be able to identify. The second one is that standards, occupational standards are shaping curricula, qualifications and curricula, right? That would be the sequence. So qualifications are informed by those standards, and the qualifications, of course, set the guidance to develop the curricula. And the curricula and the qualifications are the ones that connect with that key actor within this sequence, which are the instructors or teachers that translate curricula into the training materials through which learners acquire competencies and learners that are about to enter the labor market, but also adult learners that are transitioning within the labor market. So this sequence of interdependent functions is, I think it's important to say that it's compound. So an issue in any of these stages will have an impact in the outcome. So if we are unable to identify, let's say, skills needs in a particular sector and changing those skills needs and occupational needs, we are this is going to have an impact on our ability to update standards and likewise on those stages that follow. And any issue in any of the stages, of course, would have an effect on the final outcome. So implications based on what I said for skills and TVET systems. So the first one, we have to be able to identify how occupations are changing, and this is extremely important. So we have to be able to identify and measure changes. And once we know how digital technologies and AI are recomposing tasks within occupations before those job titles are changed, would be the best way forward. So then standards can be adapted, and this requires real-time, near real-time labor market signals, right? The second is once we have this information, we have to be able to update occupational and competency standards, and this requires sector-based approaches and occupational-specific guidance on how to update those and how best use digital technologies and AI to change workflows. And last but not least, the adaptation of curricula and training delivery and pedagogies when it comes to TVET institutions. So learning outcomes must reflect workplace realities, as I say here at the bottom in the right side. So AI literacy, I think it was mentioned earlier, has to be clearly embedded or integrated as a transversal competence across curricula, across qualifications, and of course in response to occupational standards. Next slide, please. Let me check the time just to make sure that I'm on time. The challenges faced by national systems today would be mainly three, based on my previous argument in the first prior slides, national skills authorities, as well as national agencies and relevant competency standards tend to rely on perhaps slow at this point, partially manual and largely paper-based processes that are perhaps not the best suited to the pace of technological change that we are talking about. Second, TVET institutions are designing curricula with limited access to timely skills intelligence, and this of course has an impact on their ability to respond to what I said earlier, and impacts the provision, which is insufficiently responsive to evolving employer demand. And last but not least, the TVET instructors/teachers, which are the critical interface between standards and learners that lack the digital tools and the digital and AI related capacities to be able to reflect the standards into training, the standards and the qualifications into the training materials and training delivery at the speed that the changes require. Next slide, please. What distinguishes the practices that work, and here is a little bit of to add to the evidence that was shared earlier by my colleague Akiko, and I also introduced in my first slide after the presentation title, is that we conducted a global review of digital and AI-powered solutions being applied to education, and in particular TVET systems all over the world. And we identified 41 operational solutions as relevant solutions, which were assessed against 5 ILO building blocks for a TVET system. I don't have time to go into the details of the methodology, but there is a thorough methodology to select, to identify and select those 41 operational solutions and assess those. And then we identify nine of them as good practices with direct relevance to the 3 challenges that I mentioned earlier, and the capabilities that I've been referring to since the beginning of my presentation. Some of the key features that we have identified in this research, which will be published just for your information in the next hopefully couple of months, and we are at the final stage of completing the report. The key features are, the first one, the governance precedes technology, and I wanted to first put governance rather than technology, because it's not just about having the right technology and adopting it. It's about the governance and institutional arrangement required to be able to effectively design and implement or adopt that technology. And in every mature case reviewed all over the globe, governance arrangements were in place before any deployment of any digital or AI-related technology. Second, ownership of waste sophistication. And here what I want to say is that often commercial alternatives or commercial AI solutions and digital solutions are very capable and innovative, but limit the ability of national stakeholders to widely adopt those. So public and open source solutions are perhaps the best way forward if we think of ownership and sustainability. Then the third one, that any digital and AI related tool or AI powered tool has to enter a workflow in which the users already understand and own it. So it's about adapting to the context, to the realities, and to the needs, and also complementing existing efforts, like all of you across ASEAN member states. You are working on it, rather than creating obligations. Fourth, human in the loop and human judgment by design, and this is very important. We are not trying to replace human beings. We are not trying to replace all of us. It's about complementing, amplifying our capacities when doing our work. So we have to empower rather than bypass the users, and the users are from policymakers and technical officers down to TVET instructors or teachers. And then standards grounding, content generated from validated national standards and also international standards, which should be institutionally usable rather than generic outputs that are created, like, for instance, in commercial alternatives. So next slide, please. This is a bit of the findings of the global review that we conducted. Why national responses, from our point of view, after that assessment fell short? There are 3 main, perhaps, limitations. The first one is most of those responses are country-specific, and those authorities, national authorities and national stakeholders, as you can see in the left box, digitize standards, build taxonomies, and negotiate data access on their own, and develop their own architecture with limited comparison and benchmarking, which limits the ability to reflect on advanced systems and good practices elsewhere, and also benefit from a regional platform and regional knowledge sharing that would expand the outreach and facilitate referencing. The second one would be in the middle. Some of those, or the great majority of those, except of just a few, as you can see, only 4 are not AI enabled. So they are digital, but limited AI exposure and use. And AI is barely used to, for instance, compare and benchmark occupational standards, as well as identify skills intelligence and guide, the development of standards, and subsequently support instructional design that might follow. So all combined, separately exist, but combined they don't, as you can see in the third, and not regionally connected. So country-specific solutions, yes, do exist, limited to some parts of digital solutions and AI-related, but not regionally connected. And this, of course, has an impact on the ability to respond to a need of a region like ASEAN. So no platform anywhere combines the 3 capabilities that I mentioned earlier in terms of being able to support design and update of competency standards, as well as identify skills intelligence and inform design of training materials at the TVET institution level. Next slide, please. So what the Digital Skills Coalition aims to do in response to what I said is to strengthen the responsiveness and quality, both things. Responsiveness and quality is about speed and quality by accelerating the digital transformation and promoting innovation. And accelerating digital transformation and promoting innovation requires greater adoption of digital technologies, and in particular AI-powered solutions. And we want to do it developing a regional digital infrastructure that enhances institutional capacity to do the things that I was referring in my previous slides. And you see the strategic approach. We are working towards the development of an AI-powered regional platform to facilitate the review and update of competency standards, comparing those or referencing those against standards of peer countries in ASEAN and advanced systems elsewhere within Asia and Pacific and also other regions, and then support training, design, and generate skills intelligence. That's the main goal of the Digital Skills Coalition and the solution that we are working on developing alongside all of you. Next slide, please. So the 3 interconnected capabilities, and I'm 1 minute over time, are those that you see here on the screen in a sequence and connected with what I said earlier. First, skills intelligence for policy and training. So we want to make sure that we facilitate access to online job vacancy and publicly available job vacancies to generate skills intelligence that can be used to review and update occupational competency standards. And we want also this skills intelligence to inform decisions at the TVET institution level when it comes to TVET administrators and teachers. The second one is the competency standards, which have to be compare, benchmark against peer countries, as well as advanced systems, as I said, including not only among peer countries, but other countries like, for instance, Australia and Asia and the Pacific, EU, European Union member states, when it comes to Europe, as well as Canada, United States, etc. So that's our ultimate goal, to facilitate it. And last but not least, instructional design support. And the instructional design support is to ensure that the standards are well reflected into the qualifications, and then once the qualifications are provided to the instructor, so they have the ability to ensure alignment with labor market needs, which comes from the skills intelligence. So those are the 3 capabilities, the 3 functionalities which are interconnected, and as I said earlier, are compound. And we hope that a solution having the three could really strengthen the capacity of ASEAN member states and those stakeholders that are here today to be able to respond to the digital transformation that is happening in our labor markets, but also in our skills and TVET systems. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I think there is a previous one. Yeah, you have jumped. Yeah, this one, from capability to institutional benefit. If you wonder, I'm not going to go into the detail because I'm over time. So in the left side, you have the functionality, those three functionalities that I've been referring to. Who are the primary institutional users? If you think who would be benefiting from it when it comes to the target institutional users, and what is the expected institutional benefit? So I'm not going to go into the detail because I don't have enough time, but I just wanted to make sure that you can see the linkage and between the functionality, the target user, and the expected institutional benefit, and the causal pathway that we see between horizontally between the functionality and the expected benefit, but also vertically from collecting skills intelligence to end up updating or supporting instructional design support. Next slide, please. Who the coalition serves, though, the Digital Skills Coalition, just to make it clear, direct beneficiaries in the left side and indirect beneficiaries. I think it was said somehow in my previous slides, and I've been referring to it in one way or another, but just to clarify, direct beneficiaries are national skills authorities, relevant ministries, and public TVET institutions responsible for competency standard development and training design and delivery. And we have started engagement of a number of countries, including, of course, the Philippines as the ASEAN chair, and working closely with TESDA, but also we had conversations with other countries, including Indonesia and Thailand, to join us in this effort and to assess institutional readiness as well as willingness to join this coalition and to develop a response or a platform that connects with the needs of the member states. Indirect beneficiaries would be learners, workers, and employers. And I think it's important I refer to the three of them. Those are different indirect and ultimate beneficiaries that would ultimately benefit from having in place the AI-powered regional skills platform that I'm referring to. Next slide, please. And this is my last slide. The platform, as I said earlier, we want to have a digital public infrastructure. It has to be governed in the public interest, and I think this is very important to be emphasized. So in the first column in the left side, we propose to manage it regionally through the ILO regional office, but in close coordination with ASEAN bodies. And here I named the ASEAN TVET Council as a key one to facilitate share access governing the public interest, but centrally develop and manage initially by the ILO in consultation with ASEAN member states and in response to those needs that I've been saying. Build with technology partner architecture, and we are looking for a technology partner and negotiating with a technology firm to be able to access their technology and expertise when it comes to the software and the hardware to be able to do the things that I've been talking about, and also to have the necessary cloud to connect and share information. Open APIs and interoperable interfaces is the way we want to work. When it comes to national level access and ownership, adapted to national languages, the modular and expandable, to not just a few ASEAN member states, but to as many as those that are interested. And last but not least, ensuring that national skills authorities retain data sovereignty. And then there is an element of responsible use of AI and data governance, which of course is very important. I refer to the human in the loop or human judgment in validation of AI-generated outputs, but there are other elements, as you can see here, as audit trials, bias assessment, etc., and the principles of the UN when it comes to the ethical use of AI. So all of this is being considered in the design of the AI-powered regional skills platform, and we look forward to working with all of you in this initiative, and hopefully by next year we can have a prototype that can be presented to all of you and piloted along with some of you and expanded afterwards if it works and upon refinement. So I think this is my last slide. If you can move to the next one. Yeah, that was my last one. So I was thinking that perhaps there is one more. And I thank you for inviting me to this important policy dialogue. And I look forward to working with all of you here today in the activities ahead, and in particular in the design and implementation of the Digital Skills Coalition and the platform that I mentioned. Thank you very much, and have a great 2 days of discussions and presentations. I look forward also to listening to the rest of speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordi, for that insightful information. One key message we can take away is that as AI transforms the way work is performed, our TVET systems must evolve in response. This means working together to ensure that skills, intelligence, competency standards, and training remain aligned with the evolving needs of our economies and our people. The next speaker for session 1 is Mr. Hiromishu Katayama, has been working as a UNESCO education specialist based in Jakarta, Indonesia since November 2024. With over 25 years of experience, he has worked extensively in the fields of skills development for employability, teacher education, science education, and learning assessment across Asia, Africa, the Americas, the Middle East, and Europe. He holds a PhD in International Comparative Education from the University of Pittsburgh, USA, as a Fulbright Scholar, and a master's degree in economics from Kobe University in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of virtual applause to Mr. Hiromichi Katayama. Mr. Hiromichi, the virtual floor is now yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm connected from the outside, and I missed the first part of this important conference, but thank you very much for inviting UNESCO to this important conference. So I understand that we are invited to share our tool, Global Skills Tracker, in the context of cross-border digital partnership for TVET transformation. Yeah, I will keep my presentation short, but before starting, I would like to explain a little bit about the background. So we provided the technical advice and also technical support for TVET policy and its implementation in many countries. And as you know, because of the widespread use of AI and digital tools, the nature of occupations and also skills needs are changing. So we would like to ensure the evidence-based policy advice and policy suggestions as much as possible. So the very first things that we are doing in most of our member states is to identify, to collect and analyze the relevant skills intelligence and also labor market informations. This includes the data, the administrative records and survey data on education and employment, as well as any other types of data, both quantitative and qualitative. But however, it is not easy to capture the latest information, what is demanded, and also what is changing in the market on a real-time basis. And I think it was just before the COVID crisis time, we started to see the potential of using the online job posting information uploaded by the enterprises on online job advertisement. And we started as a pilot basis, and we found it useful. We believe that the online job advertisement information cannot replace the traditional labor market and also skills intelligence, but it can provide as a complementary information. So that's the beginning of our work, and I guess it is more or less similar in other organizations. And we have been working with the technical partner Lightcast. I understand that they are also providing the data services to many other international organizations as well. So yes, I'm presenting the summary of the tools that we developed with Lightcast for the use of our member states. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see it. Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. So this is a short background of my presentation. So I'm going to talk about the Global Skills Tracker, a tool for assessing skills demand, which was created by UNESCO, and this is available to the public. So if you can Google it, you can see what I'm talking about. So this is a tool that enables users, anybody, to explore skills data across various dimensions, including countries, industries, and occupations. So when you visit the Global Skills Tracker, you can see the high-level mapping, the what kind of skills data are available at the macro levels, covering different dimensions, as I said, as countries, industries, and occupations. And also it includes the dynamic features, allowing user to identify trends over time and interactive charts. But as I said, we are not saying that this will replace the household survey data or labor force survey data. I think we will continue to use the those traditional informations, the household survey data, labor market survey data, and also the administrative record we can collect from the TVET institutions and also educational institutions. In any case, we have to do that. But we can think about using the information obtained from the online job advertisement as a complementary information, so that we can have a more granular information, and also we can see the latest change in the market. So that's the kind of value added of this Global Skills Tracker. And regarding insight, so the users can identify the patterns in the demand for specific skills, including digital skills, AI skills, and also green skills. I think those types of skills are common area of interest of most of your participants, and it will enable a more comprehensive understanding of the skills landscape of your countries and also in the ASEAN region. So yeah, this is the a kind of standard typical online job postings. So you see the job titles, and you will see the full job descriptions, and you will see what kind of qualifications are required, and also what kind of competencies are required. So the skills information can be extracted from here. The job descriptions, and we, as I said, we have been working with Lightcast, and they are using the AI-powered tools to do the natural language processing to extract the what kind of skills are demanded by the enterprises who posted this kind of advertisement. You can get the data from labor force survey data, survey, and also administrative records. But what you can get is the number of workers by industries and also by occupations. And it's very hard to get the information on skills. But by using the online job advertisement, you will be able to see what kind of skills are demanded by the industries and also enterprises. So why Global Skills Tracker? I think I have already explained. So it can provide more frequent data, more timely, more granular, and also less burden and cheaper because it is already available. And what we did is just to do the website crawling. And we developed these tools in aligning with our strategy for TVET 2022 to 2029 to facilitate the evidence-based decision-making for TVET TVET policy makers. You see what kind of countries are covered, and I was involved in the development of this Global Skills Tracker when I was based at the UNESCO headquarters. So this was a headquarters-driven work, and it covers many African countries because of the availability of our budget. Africa is a kind of our priorities, but I would say that this is more pertinent tools for Southeast Asia or middle-income countries because I think it makes sense to use these tools where many people, including job seekers and also the enterprises, they are using the online job postings. And some of the African countries I posted here, they may not use this kind of online job postings because of the constraints of the infrastructure, limited hardware, limited connectivity, etc. But I understand that many of the Southeast Asian countries, ASEAN countries, they are actively used this kind of online job advertisement. So I would say that it makes, I think there will be a slide of showing the number of users of the Global Skills Tracker, and the number of users per countries. The people who are using this kind of online job posting in Southeast Asia is much bigger than other regions, almost at a similar level to Latin American countries. So yeah, I would say that this is a pertinent tool. And also, in July this year, I had a chance to attend the technical conference organized by APEC, Asia Pacific Regional Corporations. So one of the topics was what kind of taxonomies can be used. And there was a participant coming from Latin America. It was somebody from Chile and also Peru. So they are very much interested in what kind of skills taxonomies are used in Southeast Asia, because they are also from the low, middle income countries. So I think our tools can facilitate the discussion, especially across the middle income countries, which may share the similar level of economic.
From China in Brunei. So he's
Yeah.
talking about the drone itself.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I will continue. So how can Global Skills Tracker can support the member states? And you see the slide, the use of, we can share the real-time data on labor market conditions, and also we can dynamically consolidate data on skills demand, and it will provide some guide for program and policy development, and we can monitor and analyze emerging skills within the rapidly evolving landscape of digital transformations. I think what is most important for TVET decision maker is so in view of the recent skills need in the labor market, what kind of training should be provided, and they can think about what kind of new training program should be provided to respond to the needs of the market based on the information obtained from the Global Skills Tracker. And also they can think about what kind of programs are outdated and what kind of programs should be closed or at least modified. And we understand that the curricular revision and also curricular reform takes a very long time. And while spending time for the curricular revisions, that kind of information may be outdated. But at the same time, nowadays, we are talking a lot about the micro-credentials, the integration of the short-term trainings into the TVET systems. So I think the TVET policymaker, decision makers, they are thinking about introducing the short-term training to fix and to adjust the skill set of the TVET learners and also the job seekers in view of the skills demand in the market from the Global Skills Tracker data. So that's a kind of the proposed use of Global Skills Tracker by TVET policymakers. Okay, so when you come to the our UNESCO Global Skills Tracker, you will see these kind of informations, the labor market information, labor market indicators. Actually, I think we made a connection with the ILO statistics website, so you can see what kind of informations are available from the labor force survey data collected and published by the ILO. And then the online job market skills insight and also comparative data. This is produced by UNESCO Global Skills Tracker. So you can see the number of occupations by sector, by country, and also we categorize the data of skills that we collected by 3 types of skills. One in green, and also digital skills, and also AI skills. And you can make a cross-country comparison across the country that I presented. I would say that it makes less pertinent to make a comparison with between Southeast Asia and Africa, but I think it makes a lot of sense if you can make a comparison between within Southeast Asian countries and also between Southeast Asia and Latin America. So at the moment in Southeast Asia, we only cover two countries, Malaysia and the Philippines, but we are ready to expand our scope. We have already started to discuss the potential of introducing the Indonesia, and we will be happy to include some other countries as well, so that we can make a cross-country comparison within the regions in Southeast Asia. So this is an example of the data sheet. So the left-hand side, this is about the AI-related skills. So you can see the title Top 50 AI Skills. So I think it means different in different country settings. But for instance, the AI skills means machine learning and also generative AI, use of ChatGPT, use of Databricks, for instance, and also you see some other titles. And of course, you can download it and you can see the details of each AI skills. And on the right-hand side, it is about the green skills. So you see what do we mean by green skills. So in some context, it is about the skills on public utilities. In some context, it is about the environmental laws and also waste management, renewable energies, recycling, and also solar energies. So I think each country has its own needs and demand for green transitions, and you can see the granular level of information by visiting this page, so that you can think about what kind of training should be provided to meet the demands of green skills in the market. We created two indicators. One indicators are greenness and also digitalness and AI-ness. So in short, you can see that this is the total number of green skills identified by the Global Skills Tracker divided by the all total number of skills, so that you can see the magnitude of green skills needs in the market, and also digital skills and also AI skills. And the second indicator is about green digital AI pervasiveness. So this means the number of occupations, including green skills, divided by the total number of occupations identified by the Global Skills Tracker. So you can see the level of needs for green skills, digital skills, and also AI skills. I think in the earlier presentation made by our colleagues, there was a reference to the social emotional skills and also soft skills. We believe that it is important, and it would be possible to add, in addition to green, digital, and AI, the social and emotional skills and also the soft skills. So yeah, of course, as long as we can manage to mobilize some additional resources, we can do that. But technically, it is possible. And so this may be something UNESCO will consider it as a next phase of Global Skills Tracker. And the analytical period. So usually we present the information for 1 year time from January to December. But I understand that this is the kind of revision is ongoing, so that we can upload, update the information in every 3 months, so that you can have almost close to a real-time basis, real-time information. But at the moment, I think we provide information for 1 year basis from January to December 2025 as of today. So we are using the taxonomy where we conducted the analysis, and I think some of these taxonomies, you are already familiar with this. So we are using the occupations standards, ISCO, and also in terms of the industries, economic activities, we are using ISIC, and education and training, we are using the ISCAT, International Standards Classification of Educations. So despite the complexity of the education and training systems and also occupations in each countries, we are using these international standards to standardize the information, so that you can make a comparison across the countries. And last point is skills. So now we are using the Lightcast skills taxonomy, proposed by this tech partner, Lightcast. And if you can visit our website, you will see what kind of skills taxonomy we are using. So this is available to the public. But unlike other ISCO, ISIC, and ISCAT, this is not necessarily endorsed by the international organizations. I think this is just for our consideration. And I understand that some countries are using the ONET of the United States, and also they have modified some part of the ONET for the use of their countries. And some other countries, they are using the ESCO produced and proposed by the European Commissions. And this Lightcast taxonomy is somewhat similar, but somewhat different from those kind of taxonomies. So I think this is still open to the discussion. And if it makes sense for us to continue to use Lightcast skills taxonomies, we can do that. But if there will be a room for make any modifications and revisions, I think we are open to the discussion with you and also with other international organizations. So yeah, I think this is the last slide, and you can download the information easily from our website. And also, you can see the details from the guidelines. English, yeah, I think English is enough for Southeast Asia. And then, yes, I guess that you have you will get this slide, and you can get, by scanning this, you should be able to go to the Global Skills Tracker website. So I will stop here. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to working with you, especially for the use of Global Skills Tracker for National Skills Policy Dialogue and also National Skills Policy Decisions of ASEAN member states. And ultimately, we would like to expand the coverage of Global Skills Tracker to cover the remaining countries of Southeast Asia. Now we only have Philippines and Malaysia, but we hope to work with other countries as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hirobichi, for your presentation. That's an open invitation to other ASEAN nations. Right now, let's go to the last speaker for session 1. Mr. Alessandro Brolpito is a senior human capital development expert at the European Training Foundation, specializing in digital skills, artificial intelligence, and digital transformation of education, training, and labor market systems across European partner countries. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of virtual applause for Mr. Alessandro Brolpito. Mr. Alessandro, the virtual floor is now yours.
Good afternoon from Turin, Italy, and thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this first TVET Technical Policy Dialogue on digital transformation and the future of skills. In my presentation, I will explore how we catalyze change and innovation for lifelong learning in TVET system through the digital transformation, including the adoption of artificial intelligence. I would like to stress also in my presentation on the important role of international partnership, which are the enabling factors, according to my experience, and provide some examples from Europe. We are all learning on how to move ahead in this very fast, innovative world. And let me say that in my presentation, I will also highlight 4 shifts that can help create a more agile and inclusive lifelong learning ecosystem, and also with 5 priorities for international partnership. Let's go to the next slide. So let me briefly introduce my organization, the European Training Foundation, which is an agency of the European Union. And in the framework of the external relation of the European Union, we support partner countries in reforming their education and training and employment systems. Our focus is on human capital development and and specifically in my work, I focus on the transition of education and training system to the digital transition of this system, working at the intersection of policy, institutions, and practice. Next slide, please. So, previous intervention, we recently published at the bottom of this slide, you find the link to the publication. We want to do a literature review on the impact of AI on the labor market for cognitive and non-cognitive staff, analyzing the job quantity, quality, and inclusiveness. Previous ILO and UNESCO intervention provide already some important highlight. So I will try to really focus on what is new from our research. Definitely, we are assisting, as it happened with other transfer, let's say, for example, with the digital, with introduction of computers in the economy, that actually there is a transformation over loss. So globally, 40 to 60% of jobs are experienced task redefinition, cognitive and non-cognitive task, but not really a full automation. There are the impact on the jobs is very different, and is more evident on union workers and low-skilled workers. They are already significantly affected by the introduction of artificial intelligence, and this is something that we have to keep in mind. I will come on this later. And of course, there is an urgent need for new niche demands related to AI. So in developing, maintaining, and auditing artificial intelligence systems, especially, for example, in the field of education for us. About the job quality, there is a risk, and already, there is a widening divergence between those roles in the workplace, in the labor market, that are benefiting. There is an augmentation of the potential of the job worker versus the ones that we can call managed work. So, where and focusing on managed work, let's say that routine or lower skilled worker often face acceleration of the work. So there is an intensification of the work. There are tighter algorithm control and digital surveillance. This is happening rather than skills enhancement. And from a psychological point of view, this is quite stressful. And there is a lack of transparency for vulnerable workers as well. In terms of inclusiveness, which is another important aspect, just to make an example, in gender disparities, there is a risk that these are made wider. For example, women that remain overrepresenting in clerical and administrative jobs have, let's say, can be much more affected by the introduction of artificial intelligence. Let's go to the next slide. So the impact is important. Is not we are not noticing, and it was also highlighted by previous intervention by ILO, that they are really replacing humans, but are really affecting. And let me say, for the first time, there is a clear, important role of AI in cognitive human task. They are taken because we know that AI can learn, can, let's say, make decision autonomously. So this is something that it's clearly taking cognitive task from human beings. So This is another publication hot of the press, available on the ETF website. The link is at the bottom of the slide. Again, there is a convergence with what has been already mentioned, so I will very, very quick on this. But it's important really to have a higher order cognitive skills, super strong cognitive skills. So we need to, TVET systems has to focus on critical thinking, complex problem solving and fact checking. We have to really focus as well on what will remain human. So the social emotional abilities of human being. And this is super important because we know we are facing more and more complex task, and this is require human collaboration, empathy to be very positive and to build from human relation. But of course, we need also digital skills, data and digital fluency. Otherwise, you are immediately at risk of your professional career. And last but not least, TVET system has to ensure that we have a shift from static knowledge retention to the ability to learn on regular in a lifelong learning perspective. Next slide, please. If you could switch to the next slide. So, of course, when we do digital transformation, the digital transformation is a calling for a rethinking of human capital development. So how we do digitalize TVET? But actually the policy question is actually how we catalyze change and innovation by enabling people, institutions, and enterprises to learn continuously, because this is clear, is necessary. And we have to do through a triangulation on human capital development, system and ecosystem development, and last but not least, partnerships. Let's go to the next slide. There are tools for this. I mean, here it's when we face the digital education reform, it's very important to use tools. When we look at the TVET system level, this is a tool that the ETF has developed, and it's combining policy areas that you might need to consider based on your aim and your ambitions, of course, but you need to really see which policy area you want to include, the policy mechanism that are necessary, and the policy prompt. Now, there is again the link to the publication, but this is an example of tools to really face the complexity of the digital transformation. Recently, UNESCO Univoc also published a very good practical guideline for TVET institutions on how to embrace AI. I would recommend also this to really not starting from scratch and to properly address the complexity of this element. It's not just AI that is complex, but you need really to think to the digital competence of teacher, to the infrastructure, to the other, let's say, to the platforms that are in place. So it's clearly complex, and tools, policy tools are necessary. Next slide. So, as I mentioned, now I'm going to try to wrap up and draw some conclusion from my experience and from the European experience as well. And as I said, there are 4 shifts that it's important that in the international partnership are considered and elaborated together. And one non-tangible, non-negotiable principle as well. And so let's go to the next slide, and I will provide some concrete example from Europe. So you know better than me that for sure TVET systems has to move from one-off training to continuous development. But what does it mean exactly in concrete terms? The first one is clear. We need to have a flexible personal pathways. We are all different. Somebody knows already something, so it's important to have this capacity to deliver flexible pathways. Now, in the spotlight in Europe, there are the micro-credentials. So to improve the capacity of TVET system to respond to the needs, we need to deliver the so-called micro-credential. But it's also important to recognize prior learning. It's very complex. If I come from another country than the Philippines, I want to work in the Philippines, we need to ensure to have mechanism, transparent mechanism that allows the recognition of my competencies, of my skills, in a way that the country and the economy of Philippines can benefit, for example. But we need also guidance support. So this are the elements, and you can read on your own on the slide what is, for me, according to ETF, this first shift. And here you see a couple of examples. At policy level, it's important to prepare a macro-credential framework. In Europe, each country, EU member state has its own education system. So it's important that we establish common framework, and then each country is free to decide how to implement it. But so at the EU level has been defined a European approach, and this could be done as well from a network in Asia to be sure that this is for all countries, there is a common vocabulary, understanding of micro-credential. And then we produce also concrete guidelines on our website available. Next slide. The second shift that I wanted to highlight is the skill intelligence. Here I will be fast because previous intervention were already focusing on this aspect. Of course, the future is unknown, but we need to make an effort to imagine the future. In terms of skills, TVET is of course the primary source for skills in a country. So it's important to anticipate skills cast made work also with ATF and made fantastic work. So look into the job vacancy, you need really to anticipate, translate, and here we can be really faster with the support of AI. And act. We make mistake, but we need to take action, not wait for the perfect solution, but to take action. And then, of course, we need evidence to say our investment, our understanding, is it correct? So monitoring, evaluation, having clear, possibly international indicators is very important. Just in terms of action, I wanted to bring you a couple of examples on how you can, for example, using these tools that are public, available already, are multilingual, much more beyond the EU member states, so internationally are used, to understand what does it mean to be digitally competent for a teacher, having a bottom-up approach, engaging the teachers, and having therefore fostering agency. Agency is super important in the theme of AI. So it's very important, for example, to have a solution and action that bring agency in the relevant stakeholders involved in the TVET innovation. Next slide, please. The third shift is about building an ecosystem. Sometimes ecosystem is too used. Building an ecosystem, it's complex, but we have to be used to to work with complexity. It means to have a clear government. It means to engage the relevant stakeholders, including the social partners, to have real progress for human being. We need technology partners. We have limited resources for TVET and in general. So it's important that we are open to new technology partners. And but it's super important to have cross-border partnership, okay, to reduce duplication and accelerate and catalyze innovation. I wanted just to bring examples of program and of course resources. If you look into Europe, what is it doing to foster innovation in TVET? You may consider to look to the Erasmus program, where you can you have the European Union co-founding, let's say, initiative for cooperation across countries. There is a Horizon program. You can Google and find them immediately for research innovation. So there are two different programs with the resources available. There are competitions, there are project proposals. And there are also a second group of initiative, such as eTwinning, EPALE, or the ETF Community of Innovative Educators. So there are places for institutions, for policymakers, but we need also places for practitioners. It's very important that TVET teachers in the Philippines can also interact with the others in the region, and so it's super important to create tools like eTwinning, where a community for educators and schools to collaborate and run projects together. Next slide. So another important shift is the record learning that is visible, trusted, and portable. Okay, here, if I'm running a bit late, I don't know, but I'll try to be, you can read on your own. But again, this is I provided some concrete example from Europe about what we have done to ensure visibility, trust, and portability. These are mechanisms, machinery that need to be put in place in a way that there is this important achievement in terms of visibility, trust, and portability. Let's go to the next slide. The last shift I wanted to, the last point I wanted to make now, of course, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, okay? I think what is absolutely important, and not negotiable aim has to be to have a responsible and inclusive AI by design. This is for education and training. And there are three main tests, kind of checklists that you might consider. In terms of accessibility, in terms of agency, are we preserving the agency of TVET educators? In terms of accountability, this is becoming a really gray zone. Who is responsible of what when we are, let's say, using AI? And in this respect, I wanted to bring in the spotlight the EU Artificial Intelligence Act, which is, I think, quite already, we don't need to spend a lot of word. But I wanted also to highlight an initiative that I'm really responsible for, which is the mapping of AI policy and initiatives in 27 countries, mainly low and middle income countries, to see what policy for system-wide adoption of AI in education and training are in place. Because, of course, everyone, there are many bottom-up initiatives, but in terms of governance, in terms of system-wide approaches, ensuring access, agency, accountability, there are still little evidence of what is available. So let me conclude now with the last slide. I think when we talk about a TVET system, we talk about a skills system mainly. And skills are, if the skills are the new currency, lifelong learning is what keeps that currency relevant. So we have really to think about how to change TVET as lifelong learning systems. And here I just summarized for the international partnership the 5 priorities that to me has to be taken on board. Now, let me say that unfortunately I can't stay for all the events, the 2 days event, but I'm looking forward to the outcomes of this important event, and look forward to future collaboration between Europe and Asia. Thank you, and all the best for the continuation of the event.
Thank you, Mr. Alessandro, for your presentation. It is wonderful to get a closer look at how the European Union is driving digital transformation. That brings us to a close of Insight Session 1. From our 3 presenters, we have gained invaluable takeaways on leveraging cross-border partnerships for TVET transformation. For ASEAN, these international insights are critical for accelerating digital transformation while strengthening regional cohesion and cooperation. Before we proceed to the next Insight session, we will take a short 5-minute break. Okay, thank you. I hope everyone took that 5-minute health break. Now we move on to Insight Session 2, titled From National Frameworks to Regional Resilience, Navigating ASEAN's AI Future. As AI continues to reshape economies, ASEAN member states are building distinct frameworks tailored to their domestic priorities. This session highlights unique state-specific experiences, offering a deep dive into roadmaps driving the region forward. To begin the second session, allow me to introduce our first speaker. Dr. Sheikh Lukman bin Sheikh Abdul Hamid is Deputy Director at the Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education, Brunei Darussalam. He supports national higher education strategy, system governance, institutional performance, and cross-agency coordination, with responsibilities spanning quality assurance, graduate employability, workforce planning, international cooperation, and evidence-informed policy making. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of virtual applause for Mr. Dr. Lukman. Sir, Dr. Lukman, the virtual floor is now yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues, fellow policymakers, practitioners, partners from across ASEAN, the Secretary Director General Jose Francisco Kiko, the Minister of Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, Deputy Director General Roseanne Urdanita Siko, representative from ASEAN member states, members of ASEAN TVET Council, representative of the ASEAN Secretariat, employers and workers organizations, training providers, colleagues from international organizations and development partners, including International Labour Organization, GIZ, and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Sheikh Abdul Hamid from the Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education, Brunei Darussalam. Allow me first to express my sincere appreciation to TESDA and its partners for the kind invitation and for convening the important regional dialogue on digital transformation and the future of skills. It's a privilege for me to join you in this afternoon, particularly in this session from the National Framework of Regional Resilience, Navigating ASEAN's AI Future. So for this session, there's an increasing important question for all of us across the region. So how do we translate national digital transformation efforts into institutions and ultimately systems? These are generally resilient and future ready. So in Brunei Darussalam, we have been examining the question from the perspective of institutional readiness, and I would like to make one important distinction at the outset. What I'm sharing with you today is not a technology showcase, it is a diagnostic exercise. Our starting point was not simply to ask whether our institutions have adopted digital technologies, because technology adoption by itself does not necessarily tell us whether transformation can be sustained. The more fundamental question is, do our institutions have the capabilities, structures, organizational conditions, and institutional capacity required to sustain digital transformation over time? And perhaps more importantly, the foundations, are they strong enough to support the next wave of transformation that is now being accelerated by AI, automation, data emerging technologies. To examining this systematically, Brother Sam has applied the Smart Education Readiness Index, SERI. I'm not sure whether everyone heard about it, but it's across our public higher education and TVET institutions across the country. The value of SERI, in short, is for us that is allowed for the conversation to move beyond simply asking what technology do we have towards much more strategic question: how ready is the institution itself to transform? So that distinction is important, because digital transformation is something ultimately not only in the technology use, but it's also a question of people, leadership, governance, organizational process, institutional culture, infrastructure, and of course the capacity to adapt continuously as technology evolves. So in the next few minutes, bear with me, I would like to share three things with you. First, how do you apply SERI within the Brunei context? Second, what diagnostic process reveal about institutional readiness and the gaps that may exist or visible? And third, perhaps more importantly, what are we learning from the experience and what we think about in the wider challenge of building a more resilient, adaptive and AI education and systems across ASEAN. So our experience is still evolving, and we certainly do not present SERI as a final answer. Rather, we see it in a way of making readiness visible for the institutions and policymakers that can make better understanding what they are today. Okay, my next slide, please. Okay, so let's start with what we built in. So like many systems in Brunei, digital ambition was moving faster than our shared evidence base. So there's three gaps that kept resurfacing. First, infrastructure versus use. Our platforms could tell us what technology had been installed. They could only tell us whether it was actually embedded in teaching, in assessment, or in institutional decisions. Secondly, when you talk about pilots versus system, we had genuine innovation happening across our institutions, but it stayed fragmented because governance, capability, and workflow change were not moving together. Thirdly, the activity versus outcomes. We simply had to share no shared way to tell digital activity apart from sustained readiness. That left us with one policy question, and it became the mandate of everything that followed. How ready in each of these institutions to sustain digital transformation, not merely adopt technology? Next slide. So why SERI? That question is exactly what SERI was built to answer, and I want to be specific about its purpose, because it matters from how we read everything that follows. SERI was designed to do 5 things. First, to establish a national baseline for digital transformation readiness across our public higher education and TVET institutions. Identify institutional strength, gaps, priority areas of improvement, strengthen the capability of self-assessment through evidence and validation, support institution-specific roadmaps and improving planning, inform national policy, resource decision, and also for future monitoring. I want to underline at the bottom of the slide, because it will matter again later in the session. SERI is designed to create for improvement in policy, not to rank institution. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so how does SERI actually work? We structured around 3 blocks. The process. At the faculty and school level, teaching, assessment, curriculum, learning design, stakeholder engagement, technology, institution-wide. Infrastructure, platforms, data security, cybersecurity, AI analytics, and automation, and of course, thirdly, organization, institution-wide, the governance, the leadership capability. So it's structured around these 3 main blocks. Underneath this, all 3 blocks sits 8 pillars and 19 measurable dimensions. So right at the end, you can actually scan the QR code and view with more detail. Each scored at 5 level maturity scales from 0 to 4. I point to you the title of the slide. Specific SERI provides a whole system diagnostic of digital readiness, including the foundation of responsible AI adoption. This deliberation AI adoption sits inside our technology pillar, not as an afterthought, but as one of the dimensions we access directly. 3 words matter here, and I ask you to hold into those 3 rest of the talking points in terms of the diagnostic, evidence-based, and non-ranking. Next slide. So the implementation experience. So this is what people want to know. We didn't just design this on paper. We ran it nationally over 8 months. It was led by the Department of Higher Education, of course, with SEMI-VOCTEC as our partner in participating, and of course, our public higher education and TVET institutions. 6 stages was done during the session from December 2025 right down to June 26. So as you know, it's fresh from the oven. First is adapt framework, preparation and contextualizing. And then we move to orient a national workshop to align roles and definition, assess self-assessment and evidence submission. We validate, interview documents, review and site visits, and of course synthesize national analysis and institutional recommendations. And now act, where we're building roadmaps and priorities ahead of the repeat assessment. At national scale, that means 6 public higher education institutions and 40 faculties and schools assessed across the first half of the year. Next slide. So you're probably asking, how do we do it? Well, mixed method designs, of course, the gold standard. Because I get what we've learned, I want to spend 30 seconds on how we build confidence in the number themselves, because I think this is genuinely useful for anyone in this session considering something similar. Self-assessment gave us an initial picture, though a standardized online instrument, but self-assessment alone is never sufficient. So of course we have validation evidence through interviews, documents, observation, tested whether these ratings actually reflect current institutional practice. Triangulation, the tool gave us evidence-informed final scores. The mixed method design is what the baseline credible, not just collectible. So just to give an example, in one of the sessions, the faculty, when we asked them to do self-assessment, so they were like, they don't know how to rank it in terms of between a number scale from 0 to 4. So when you think about it, we told them, if you put a higher score, you need to ensure you have evidence. But if you put a lower score, you know, you will have other issues. So these are the kind of challenges that we faced in when we discussed with the faculties when they were doing the assessment. So this is a very interesting exercise that we did. Next slide. So this is the main in terms of what worked. So building on that, here's what made self-assessment credible in practice. I think the 4 stages: self-assess, using structured responses and maturity judgment, substantiate with remarks, policy records, supporting documents, validate through interviews, clarification, and of course selected observations, and synthesize into cross-block analysis and contextualizing recommendations. So 3 enablers made this work: central coordination, named institution focal points, and critically a non-ranking improvement frame. So institution had every incentive to be honest rather than defensive. The line "I'll leave you with a score behind useful, not me with the evidence." The context and institution own narrative could explain it. So we were telling them this is not a ranking exercise. We do not want to say, because it's only natural, the institutions will say, oh, this is better than the other. No, it's not. We had to emphasize that we are not ranking anyone, but we're just trying to understand the baseline. Next slide. So what challenge us? Now I want you to candid with discussion, because I think this is the most important, useful part of what I can share today. The hardest part of the exercise was not actually collecting scores. It was actually creating shared meaning. 3 real challenges came up: different interpretation. The same maturity level could be understood differently across institutions. We addressed them with a common definition, workshops and evidence check. Uneven evidence quality. Documents showed us what existed, but not always how consistently it was actually being used. We addressed that through triangulation and narrative context from interviews. And of course, different institution realities. One uniform recommendation would never fit institutions with different mandates and structures. Not one size fits all. So we kept a common diagnostic core, but made recommendation institution specific. If you're designing something similar in your own system, this is where the real effort goes, in not in scoring instrument itself, but in the work of making the scores mean the same thing across different institutions. So that'll be a challenge. For Brunei, as a small country, we only have like 5 public institutions, but I can imagine huge countries, big countries with hundreds and thousands of universities would be a very interesting observation. Next slide. So the core insight, this is the national learning. So this is what everyone wants to know. Despite these challenges, one insight came through clearly and consistent across the data, and I call this our central finding. Readiness is a system property. Technology only creates value when the other 2 blocks, process and organization, can move side by side. The 3 patterns that emerge is we've got ranking any institution against one another. Evidence strengthened self-assessment. That's the first one. Institution that could substantiate what they claim, produce more credible pictures of themselves, not necessarily higher scores. Context-shaped readiness, the same technology investment produced different outcomes, different on institutional culture and governance. And third, of course, the most important one, technology created value only when process and organization move with it. High technology maturity on its own did not translate into sustained change. I want to draw this everyone's attention in terms of the specifics. because it connects directly to what the session is asking. Our technology block includes AI adoption in education and research as one of the dimensions, and what we found is the AI adoption follows exactly the same pattern. The constraint is not infrastructure, but it's the organization and process work that has to come alongside. And to repeat, the discipline behind all this series is a diagnostic, not a league table. Next slide. So what the lessons we can learn from this? So what does a finding like this mean for region moving in a different speeds? I offer 4 lessons. First, in terms of the common core, flexible context. Keep the shared dimensions and maturity logic, but adapt the language and evidence expectation to each national system. Evidence before investment, before diagnostic whether the real constraint is technology, process, capability, or governance before committing capital. Improvement, not ranking. A developmental frame earns you honest evidence and institutional ownership. A comparative frame earns your defensiveness. And of course, assessment is a cycle, not an event. Repeat the diagnostic monitor action and treat readiness in a moving capability, not on one-time score. Comparable enough to learn together, flexible enough to remain local useful. That's the balance we try to strike. Next slide. So looking forward in terms of, for us, this isn't the end of the exercise, it's just the start of a cycle. The 5 stages, as you can see from the slide, we have baseline, a shared diagnostic roadmap, institutional practices enable, which is the capability investment, monitor progress and evidence, reassess, learn, and recalibrate. And then we begin. Of course, the national opportunity for us now is to linking this readiness evidence directly to institutional plans, capability development, and of course, the investment decision. So this stops being a one-off exercise, becomes part of actually how we govern our digital transformation. So next slide. What ASEAN can do together, I think in terms of what we think we are learning nationally has a direct regional application. These practical steps could convert Brunei's national experience to regional resilience. One, of course, develop an adaptable regional core, agree common readiness dimensions, evidence principles, maturity language that member states can contextualize, not a single rigid standard. 2, build a common community of practice. Of course, calibration assessments across the region will be interesting to see people across Asian countries to do this exercise or cross assessment. Exchange implementation lessons and build a shared repository of related practices. 3, align responsible AI and digital governance. Shared principles of data governance, cybersecurity, trusted credentials, and directly on the sessions team, responsible of AI in education. Measure together, learn locally, improve continuously. I think that's what we offer, we put on the table for this region. I'm glad to follow up with anyone hereafter. My email is on the site. Thank you very much. That's all I can say. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lukman, for your presentation. For ASEAN, Brunei's experience offers a practical lesson. While national approaches may differ, we can build a shared understanding of digital readiness by learning from one another, using evidence and adapting approaches to our respective contexts. We can translate digital ambition into continuous improvement. Moving on to our next speaker for session 2, Ms. Nur Aini Shakima Ahmad Shuyuti is a Senior Assistant Secretary at the TVET Coordination Unit, Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia. She holds a master's degree in engineering from University of Malaya. She has over 19 years of professional experience spanning engineering, vocational training, skills development, skills regulation, and quality assurance, and TVET policy coordination. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Ms. Aini to the virtual floor. Ms. Aini, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and friends. Today, I would like to share Malaysia's experience in preparing our TVET and skills ecosystem for a rapidly changing world of work. Rather than looking at AI only as technology issue, I would like to look at it from the perspective of people, skills, and institutions. And I would like to focus on one fundamental question. How do we make sure that our TVET system can move as quickly as the labor market is changing? Let me begin with the challenge that we are facing. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Okay. ASEAN has an important demographic advantage. The second slide, please. Okay, this one. ASEAN has an important demographic advantage. We have relatively young population, and this gives the region significant potential in terms of workforce and economic development. In Malaysia, our median age is around 31, compared with around 30 for ASEAN. But a demographic advantage is not automatic. Because we continue to face challenges such as youth unemployment and skills mismatch. The figures here highlight 11% youth unemployment and 36.3% underemployment among tertiary educated workers facing severe skill mismatch. At the same time, we are experiencing an unprecedented transition in the way technology is changing work, and AI is accelerating this transition. So we are dealing with two transformations at the same time, which are a demographic transformation and technological transformation. If we do not respond quickly enough, our demographic dividend may not translate into an economic advantage. The issue is whether our people have the skills that the future economy requires or not. To understand the scale of this challenge, let me briefly share the evidence from Malaysia's workforce impact study. Next slide. Malaysia has undertaken the Talent Corps Impact Study on Artificial Intelligence, Digital and Green Economy on the Malaysian workforce. Across 10 major sectors, the study validated 949 specific roles comprising 889 existing roles and 60 emerging roles. More importantly, around 620,000 employees expected to be highly impacted within the next 3 to 5 years. When highly and medium impacted roles are combined, the study estimates around 1.8 million employees affected. This tells us something more important. The future of work is not simply a story about jobs disappearing. It is a story about jobs changing. Tasks will change, skills will change, and some occupations will evolve, and while new occupations emerge. Therefore, the policy question is no longer simply what training do we provide. The more important question is how do workers move into the next role and how quickly TVET respond. And that means different groups of workers will require different interventions. Next slide. Okay, the study suggests that we cannot use a one-size-fits-all approach. Different groups of workers will experience different levels of impact. For highly impacted roles, the priority is pivot adjacent roles and intensive reskilling. For medium impact roles, the occupation may remain relevant, but the way the work is performed will change. Here, the priority is more likely to be targeted upskilling. For low impact roles, continuous self-improvement and leadership development remain important because technology will continue to change how work is organized. And then we have 60 emerging roles created or significantly shaped by the technological and green advancement. For these roles, we cannot wait until demand becomes mainstream before we start preparing people. We need to build foundational TVET programs early. So in simple terms, some workers need to reskill, some workers need to upskill, and some need entirely new pathways into emerging occupations. This is why a responsive TVET architecture becomes so important. Next slide. Malaysia's response is supported by three important policy layers. First, we have the National TVET Policy 2030 or DTN 2030 that provides the national policy foundation for a TVET system. Second, we have the 13th Malaysian Plan for 2026 to 2030, which is our MK13, that connects TVET development with Malaysia's wider economic transformation, particularly high growth, high value sectors and advanced technology capability. And third, we have TVET 2.0 that translate these policy directions into implementation and new capability. So these three layers have complementary functions. DTN 2030 provides the National TVET direction. RMK 13 connects TVET with economic and industrial transformation, and TVET 2.0 strengthens implementation and future sector capability. And to make this responsive, we also need better intelligence about what industries actually need. Next slide. At the workforce intelligence level, Malaysia is strengthening the connection between skills demand and talent supply. One example is My Mahir and the Future Skills Talent Council, which takes an industry-driven approach to identifying the competencies that industries need today and in the future. MyNext complements this by supporting talent profiling and mobility, helping us better understand the talent we currently have and how that talent can move towards the skills required by the economy. The broader principle here is important. We need better intelligence about skills demand before we can design better training. TVET institutions cannot anticipate every technological change on their own. They need structured signals from industry and the labor market. So workforce intelligence becomes the bridge between what industry needs and what the TVET system provides. And this brings us from intelligence to action. Next slide. Okay, the findings from the workforce impact study gives us an evidence based on skills gap, displacement risk, and emerging occupational demand. We then need to look at these findings through the lens of Malaysia's high growth, high value sectors and the technology priorities. Artificial intelligence, the digital economy and green technology and advanced manufacturing are the areas that included in the HGHV sectors. From there, we translate these priorities into action through our national plans and TVET system. The objective is not simply to train more people. It is to train people for the right sectors, the right occupation, and the right skills. And that is where TVET becomes directly connected to economic policy. But this raises another important question. Do we already have the mechanisms to deliver this kind of response? So we go to the next slide. Okay, the study suggests several areas where a future-ready skills ecosystem needs to become stronger. But importantly, Malaysia is not starting from zero. We already have a number of mechanisms within our TVET and workforce ecosystem that respond to these requirements. First, industry-led training. The study suggests that training should be more close to actual workplace requirements. Malaysia already has Academy in Industry or ADI, which brings training together to the workplace and strengthens industry participation in skills development. Second, industry validation of curriculum. We have industry lead bodies or ILBs, technical advisory committees or TACs, which provide industry input and help ensure that curriculum remains relevant to occupational requirements. Third, industry matching. Training should ultimately connect to employment. Mechanisms such as My Mahir through FSTC together with My Future Jobs strengthen the connection between skills demand, talent, and employment opportunities. Fourth, micro-credentials. Malaysia has Malaysian Modular Skill Certificate, which is more targeted and modular approach to upskilling. Fifth, internship and workplace exposure. Malaysia already has mechanisms including Protege, Return to Work, OJT under NOS, MyNext Talent Mobility and Ilham, which can contribute to stronger workplace exposure and transition into employment. And finally, pathways and transitions. Our broader policy framework through RMK 13, National TVET Policy 2030 and TVET 2.0 provides the foundation for stronger entry, progression, and reskilling pathways. So the message is, the study suggests what a future-ready ecosystem needs. Malaysia already has many of the building blocks. Our challenge now is to connect these building blocks more effectively and scale them across sectors. But having the building blocks is one thing. The bigger question is whether we can connect them into one continuous system. Next. This brings us to the concept of closed-loop TVET and workforce system. We start with intelligence. We need continuous information on what industries require today and what they are likely require tomorrow. Then comes validation. Industry-led bodies and other industry mechanisms help ensure that the curriculum reflects actual occupational requirements. Then comes execution. TVET institutions and workplace-based approaches such as RD translate those requirements into training. Then comes placement. Skills development should ultimately lead to employment, and mechanisms such as My Future Jobs can strengthen the connection between skilled talent and labor market demand. But importantly, the process does not end there. We need feedback. What skills are employers asking for next? Which skills are becoming less relevant? Which new technologies are emerging? And what should we change in our curriculum? That information goes back into the system. So instead of traditional training, graduation, employment model, we want skills intelligence, curriculum, training, employment, feedback, and then new skills intelligence. This is how we make TVET genuinely responsive. And this brings me to perhaps the most important question for the system. At the ASEAN, next slide. Okay, at the ASEAN level, this is where our national experiences can become much more valuable when shared. To navigate the AI transition, we need to move beyond isolated national frameworks. We need stronger connections between skills intelligence, responsive curriculum, and industry participation. And importantly, the financing of future skills development also needs to be considered. Governments cannot carry the entire burden of talent development. Industry, training institutions, and other stakeholders need to play complementary roles. If we can build integrated, data-driven, and closed-loop systems nationally, we can also create stronger foundations for regional cooperation. This is how we can turn our demographic potential into a genuine economic advantage and contribute towards a regional resilience. The slide itself frames the equation as skills intelligent, responsive curriculum, and co-funding leading to regional resilience. But there is one question we need to confront honestly. Next slide. Are the industries ready to move from being employers of TVET graduates to becoming active co-developers of talent? I would say the answer is yes, increasingly, but not uniformly, and not without the right ecosystem support. Industry leadership in talent development means more than hiring graduates. It means being involved in identifying future skills, validating curriculums, providing workplace learning, investing in trainers, equipment, and technology, and ultimately sharing responsibility for developing the talent that industry itself needs. Yes, government still has an important role where we need to create the policy environment, coordinate the ecosystem, provide appropriate incentives, and ensure that smaller industries are not left behind. So I would frame the question not as can industry do everything, but rather, how do we create the conditions for industry to lead where industry is best placed to lead, while government continues to enable and coordinate? I believe this is the direction Malaysia is moving forward. And ultimately, this is not only a Malaysian question, it is an ASEAN question. So, next slide. To conclude, the future of TVET is not simply about introducing more technology into training institutions. It is about building a responsive skill as ecosystem, an ecosystem where skills intelligence informs curriculum, curriculum responds to industry, industry contributes to training, training connects to employment, and employment outcomes feed back into the skill system. If we can build that kind of closed loop system nationally, then we are in much stronger stronger position to build resilience regionally. And I would like to leave you with one final message. We do not need to predict the future perfectly. We need to build a TVET system that is capable of adapting when the future changes. That is where we turn our demographic potential into an economic advantage, and that is how we can move from national frameworks to regional resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Aini, for your presentation. What stands out from Malaysia's experience is how important it is to keep TVET connected to what is actually happening in the workplace. Skill needs are changing quickly, so our training systems also need to be able to respond quickly. With good labor market information, relevant training, and strong industry involvement, for ASEAN, the question is how can we learn from these experiences and work together to prepare our workforce for what lies ahead. We now turn to our final speaker for session 2. Our speaker is a public servant with 27 years of experience in the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority of the Philippines. He currently serves as the Executive Director of the Qualifications and Standards Office. As an advocate of quality technical education and skills development, he continues to equip himself with the right knowledge and skills by learning from education leaders and experts, closely collaborating with different TVET stakeholders and leaders globally and in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of virtual applause to Mr. Elcid H. Castillo. Mr. Elcid, the virtual floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anne. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Philippine presentation. This presentation this afternoon tells us the story behind Kegaling, how it moved from a need within TESDA's standard development process into an AI-assisted, expert-led innovation for Philippine TVET. Today, as we know, the world work is changing very quickly. Digital transformation, artificial intelligence, green technologies, and emerging occupations are reshaping what workers need to know and do. Because of this, the systems that develop skills standards must also become more responsive. The goal was not simply to put artificial intelligence on top of the existing process. The bigger role was to rethink the process itself, making standards development more integrated, knowledge-based, efficient, and responsive, while keeping technical experts, the industry, and quality assurance at the center. With guidance from Secretary Jose Francisco Kiko Benitez and Deputy Director General Rosana Ordaneta, that felt need led to the development of Kegaling. May I invite you to watch the AVP to give us a more comprehensive view of one of TESDA's digital transformation initiatives. This is Kegaling.
Across ASEAN and the world, economies are being reshaped by digital transformation, artificial intelligence, the green transition, and rapidly evolving industries. As President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. emphasized during World Skills ASEAN Manila 2025,
skills are more valuable than oil, more enduring than gold, more transformative than any technology.
For the Philippines, this raises an important question. How do we ensure that our skill standards can keep pace with the changing world of work? Because when industries change faster, the systems that develop skill standards must also be able to respond faster. In the Philippines, competency standards and other TVET quality assurance instruments are developed through rigorous engagement with industry and technical experts. That rigor must remain. But our experience also showed that many parts of the process were highly manual and resource intensive. Experts move between workshops, spreadsheets, reference documents, separate files, and repeated revisions. Information could be encoded more than once, while valuable references could be distributed across different working files and offices. Our response is K-Galing, key to groundbreaking AI learning for instructional network generation. K-Galing is TESDA's AI-powered standards and course development platform, and the flagship digital initiative under the leadership of TESDA Secretary Jose Francisco Kiko B. Benitez. It is designed to support and accelerate the development of interconnected TVET quality assurance instruments, from functional analysis and competency standards to curriculum, assessment, and learning resources. More than an AI application, K-Galing represents a new approach to standards development, integrated, knowledge-based, AI-assisted, and expert-led. The name itself reflects what we want the platform to represent. The letter K connects four ideas at the heart of Philippine TVET: kasanayan or skills, kakayahan or competency, karunungan or knowledge, and kaunlaran or progress. And galing is a distinctly Filipino expression of excellence, capability, ingenuity, and pride. Together, these ideas form K-Galing, bringing artificial intelligence and Filipino expertise together in the service of better skills development. K-Galing transforms a fragmented workflow into an integrated development environment. Users begin by defining the sector, occupation, purpose, and scope. The system then works from a centralized knowledge base containing relevant TESDA, Philippine, industry, and international references. From these inputs, K-Galing supports the development of a series of interconnected templates. It first develops a functional map, or FM, which identifies the major, minor functions and areas of work within a sector or occupation. It then helps determine the qualification level of skills, or QLS, which helps determine the appropriate level of the qualification. From there, job analysis tables break down the occupation into its key job functions, duties, tasks, and corresponding competency requirements. These outputs provide the foundation for generating the competency standards, the formal statements of what a person must be able to perform to the level required by industry. Developers may directly edit the output or use Ask K-Galing to refine a particular section. What previously required considerable time to assemble can now be produced as an initial working draft in minutes. But one principle is fundamental. AI generates the draft. Experts exercise judgment. Industry validates relevance. TESDA assures quality. K-Galing accelerates the work. It does not replace the people responsible for the standard. We also ask an important question. Can emerging priorities be considered from the beginning rather than added only at the end? During competency standards generation, K-Galing is prompted to consider gender, diversity, and inclusion, as well as green skills and sustainability, whenever these are relevant to the occupation and work context. The value of the approach becomes even greater when the competency standard becomes the common foundation for the next stages of TVET development. Once reviewed and validated, the same standards support the development of the level alignment matrix, competency assessment tools, competency-based curriculum, and eventually learning materials. This creates greater continuity between what industry requires, what training delivers, and what assessment measures. All outputs remain subject to TESDA's established technical review, validation, and quality assurance processes with the industry's academe, practitioners, and technical experts. Our initial time and motion study and cost analysis provide an early indication of what this transformation could mean in practice. Across 6 development processes, the estimated total process cycle time could decrease from 73 to 28 working days, a reduction of 45 working days, or approximately 62%. One of the largest potential gains is in the development of competency assessment tools, where the drafting period for one CATS package could decrease from approximately 25 working days to 5. Initial cost analysis also indicates potential savings of approximately 57% for face-to-face development and 65% for online development. But the most important benefit is not simply that the process becomes faster or less costly. The real value is what we can do with the time we save. More time for technical analysis, industry consultation, validation, and quality assurance. Efficiency does not mean lowering the standard. It means creating more space for the work that requires human expertise most. The Philippine experience with cabling is still evolving, and we continue to learn as we strengthen the platform. But our experience has already reinforced several lessons that may be relevant across ASEAN. First, AI should augment expertise, not replace it. Second, digital transformation works best when technology is anchored in trusted references, standards, governance, and quality assurance. Third, interoperability matters. Standards, curriculum, assessment, and learning should form one connected skills ecosystem rather than exist as isolated products. And finally, responsible innovation must keep quality, inclusion, sustainability, transparency, and human accountability at the center. Our experience has taught us that the future of TVET will not be built by technology alone. It will be built by people. Industry experts who understand the workplace, trainers who develop competence, assessors who protect quality, institutions that uphold trust, and learners whose skills will shape our future. Cabling is not about replacing that expertise. It is about amplifying it. It is about using artificial intelligence to help us respond faster, strengthen relevance, and direct more of our resources toward the human judgment that quality TVET demands. This is the Philippine experience. Technology in the service of people. Innovation anchored on quality. And skills development that leaves no one behind. This is K-Galing. Tungo sa magaling at makabagong TVET.
Dahil kung sama-sama tayo sa TESDA, kayang-kaya.
Alright, so that is the AVP we prepared on the system that we have developed for standards development in the Philippines. But we have to take note that K-Galing is still evolving, and early results would show already strong potential. Since its development, can we go to the slide, please? The third slide of the original presentation. That one. All right, thank you. Since its deployment in can we go back? There you go. Since its deployment in February 2026, it has already generated 2,604 standards development documents. And those include the functional maps, the Java analysis tables, and the qualification levels of skills, and the competency standards. The initial findings would indicate a possible 62% reduction in development time. Beyond speed, its real value is enabling experts to focus more on technical analysis, industry engagement, validation, and quality assurance. Our experience reinforces that AI should augment and not replace human expertise. One of the clearest experiences is that Kagaling can produce an initial draft document in a very short period of time, around 5 minutes, depending, of course, on the available references and the complexity of the occupation. But generation alone is only the starting point. The output remains draft until it passes through the necessary review, validation, and finalization processes. The operating flow remains clear. Approved references are used as the foundation. AI assists in generating the initial output. The focal personnel conduct desk review. Industry validators check the relevance and applicability, and TESDA assures quality before finalization. Now, as Kagaling scales, stronger implementation will depend on disciplined references, clear review protocols, and continuous feedback loops. First, we have to further strengthen the knowledge-based folders. Second, desk review should be guided by a common checklist so reviewers can consistently assess outputs before these are presented for validation. Third, the recurring comments should be captured and used to improve prompts, templates, and reference materials. Fourth, TESDA should continuously monitor output volume and status. And of course, ensuring that orientation and coaching should continue so users can apply AI responsibly and confidently. The recommended rhythm is quite simple. Generate, review, consolidate comments, improve the references and templates, then validate. This moves Kagaling from simple output generation toward a stronger quality assurance cycle. Now, when we talk of Kagaling, we also look at the future of the system. And the next direction is to further improve Kagaling as a platform so it can support a more intelligent, scalable, and future-ready TVET standards ecosystem. Based on the proposed Phase 2 concept, one improvement is multilingual support. This will help the system detect, translate, and process external competency documents and convert them into TESDA formats for human validation. Another improvement that we're looking at is the strengthening of the knowledge base through controlled web crawling. This will gather information only from approved or whitelisted sources, extract and clean relevant content, and tag sources so users can better assess reliability. Kagaling is also envisioned to include a supermarket of competencies. This will serve as a modular competency repository where competency units may be organized, packaged, version controlled, and updated across related competency standards and training regulation documents. And of course, the platform may also become more data-driven through skills needs analysis integration, assessment fee generation, and test item analytics. These features can help TESDA identify priority skills, compute the assessment fees and requirements more efficiently, and further strengthen the quality of our competency assessment tools. Kagaling represents more than a new way of developing standards. It reflects how we are preparing TVET to respond to a world of work that is changing faster than ever. AI can help us move faster, but speed alone is not the goal. Quality, relevance, and trust must remain at the heart of standards development. Through Kagaling, we are building a standards development system that is faster, smarter, and more responsive, ensuring that our people are equipped not only for the jobs of today, but for the opportunities of tomorrow. Dahil ito po ay para tungo sa magaling at makabagong TVET sa bagong Pilipinas, dahil pagsama-sama sa TESDA, kayang-kaya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Elcid, for your presentation. Particularly interesting about Kagaling is how it shows that AI can support our standard developers without replacing human expertise. It is a good example of using AI not to replace expertise, but to give our experts more time to do the work that requires human judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially reached the end of our insight sessions. At this point, we will take a 10-minute break. We encourage everyone to take this opportunity to stretch, have a quick refreshment, and attend to any personal needs. We will resume the program promptly at 5:22 p.m. Manila time. May we kindly request everyone to return to the main Zoom room a few minutes before the scheduled resumption. Thank you, and we look forward to welcoming you back shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Over the course of these presentations, we have gained valuable insights into the practical realities, global frameworks, and emerging strategies shaping the future of TVET. To present the takeaways from Insight Sessions 1 and 2, may we invite Ms. Pamela Grafilo, Technical Consultant of GIZ Rico Twin, to the virtual floor. Ma'am Pem?
Thank you very much, and magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. As we end today's dialogue, let me bring together what we have heard all afternoon. Across these discussions, one thing and one message is clear. Digital transformation is not simply a technology agenda. It is a transformation of jobs, skills, and TVET systems themselves. Please allow me to highlight 7 lessons from day one. Next slide, please. The first lesson is really, jobs are changing. Akiko and Malaysia reminded us that the main effect of AI is not necessarily the disappearance of entire occupations. More importantly, it is changing the tasks within these occupations. Already, 1 in 4 workers globally is in an occupation with some exposure to generative AI. But there is another side to the story. Digital transformation can also create jobs. The ILO modeling suggests that near universal broadband could actually generate 23.5 million additional jobs globally in the next 5 years. So that's by 2030. Asia and the Pacific stands to gain from these jobs because it will account around 8.2 million of these jobs. And importantly for us in ASEAN, strong gains are expected in middle skilled occupations. So there is potentially a significant opportunity for TVET graduates. So, what is the challenge now? The challenge, therefore, is for TVET, not simply to prepare people for digital jobs. It is really to help workers adapt as the tasks within their jobs continue to change. Next slide, please. The second lesson or takeaway follows directly from the first. If jobs are changing, skills must keep pace. But the skills challenge goes beyond digital literacy. Workers increasingly need a combination of capabilities. They need technical and digital skills. And more importantly, and we've heard this through the presentations, They also need higher order cognitive skills such as problem solving and critical thinking. They need human capabilities such as communication, teamwork, leadership, and most importantly, ethical judgment. These human capabilities become even more important as AI enters the workplace. We also heard from ETF that one-time training is no longer enough. Workers need opportunities to continuously acquire and demonstrate new competencies throughout their careers. So TVET needs to move from preparing people for one qualification or one occupation towards supporting lifelong learning and continuous workforce transitions. And if we move the next slide, the third takeaway is that TVET itself must become more agile, data-driven, and responsive. One message through very consistently today. Our traditional processes can be too slow for the pace of technological change. This is where skills intelligence becomes critical. UNESCO's Global Skills Tracker showed us how new sources of labor market data can help us identify changing demand. ILO's DISCO takes this further. It connects skills intelligence, competency standards comparison, and AI supported instructional design. Malaysia then gave us a concrete national example. Its approach creates a continuous loop: skills intelligence, industry validation, training, employment, and back to renewed intelligence. This feedback loop is important. In fact, Kay Galing also emphasized this loop, no? We should not collect labor market information as a periodic research exercise. It needs to continuously inform standards, curricula, training, and employment. So perhaps the key message is skills intelligence needs to become part of the operating system of TVET. In the next slide, we have our fourth takeaway is that digital transformation is not primarily about acquiring technology. It is about transforming systems and institutions. Brunei's SERI experience demonstrated this very clearly. Their approach looks at three interconnected dimensions: process, technology, organization. Technology creates value only when governance, institutional capability, people, processes, and organizational culture move with it. And importantly, Brunei begins with diagnosis. Before investing, they understood where the real constraint lied. Is it infrastructure? Is it in the process? Is it institutional capability? Or is it governance? The Philippine Kagaling experience gives us another useful principle: AI assisted, human reviewed, and industry validated. AI can make processes faster, no doubt about that. But human judgment, technical expertise, and industry validation remain essential. So perhaps we should not begin by asking, what technology should we adopt? Perhaps we should begin with, what problems are we trying to solve? How ready are our institutions, and what capacities are needed to be strengthened? Next slide, please. The fifth takeaway is that this transformation cannot be delivered by TVET institutions or governments alone. Industry, social partners need to be part of the transformation. Industry helps identify emerging skills. It can validate standards and curricula. It provides workplace learning, and it connects training to actual employment opportunities. Malaysia gave us a particularly useful way of looking at this. Industry is not simply the employer of TVET graduates. It can become a co-developer of talent. Workers and social partners also need a meaningful role. They help ensure that technological change supports decent work, inclusion, and workers' needs. So digital transformation requires co-creation among government, TVET providers, employers, workers and social partners, and technology and development partners. The shift is from consultation to shared responsibilities of skills development. Next slide, please. And the sixth takeaway is that inclusion and responsible AI need to be designed into transformation from the onset. The opportunities are significant, but access is still uneven. Countries and communities have different levels of connectivity, infrastructure, and digital capability. Women, informal workers, MSMEs, people in rural and remote areas can face greater barriers. So we need to think about access from the very beginning. But responsible digital transformation goes beyond access. It also requires agency and accountability. This means human oversight. It means transparency and sound data governance. And it means safeguards against bias and other unintended consequences. So inclusion, responsible AI should not be issues that we address after systems have been deployed. They should be design principles and measures of success from the very beginning. And finally, our seventh takeaway, which brings us perhaps to the strongest regional message from today. ASEAN does not need 11 isolated digital transformations. Many of the challenges we heard are shared. Countries need stronger skills intelligence. They need faster standards development. They need stronger institutional and instructor capacity. They need trusted credentials, responsible AI, and better interoperability. Developing every taxonomy, platform, methodology, and technical capability separately can be costly, and it can also cause or increase further fragmentation. So ASEAN cooperation gives us an opportunity to share intelligence, tools, methodologies, learning resources, and expertise. We can strengthen the comparability of competency standards and qualifications. We can support trusted and portable credentials. And we can build common capabilities where regional scale adds value. But this does not mean creating one uniform system. Brunei Darussalam gave us a very useful principle. Comparable enough to learn together, flexible enough to remain locally useful. Or put another way, build together where scale adds value, adapt nationally where context matters. Thank you very much. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ben. And with that, we come to the end of day one of our first TVET Technical Policy Dialogue titled ASEAN Skilled for the Future, Digital Transformation and the Future of Skills. On behalf of the organizers, we would like to thank all our speakers, experts, partners, and participants for sharing your time, insights, and valuable contributions throughout today's session. Before we close, a gentle reminder to our participants that day two will continue tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. Day 2 will feature a presentation by Ms. Wu Wenxi, UNESCO Chair for TVET Digitalization of Shenzhen Polytechnic University. The session will be open to all participants and we encourage everyone to join us. This will be followed by a policy roundtable, which will be an exclusive session for the ASEAN TVET Council members and participants from national government agencies. All participants are requested to be back at the plenary room by 3:30 p.m. Philippine Standard Time for the presentation of the roundtable discussions. We look forward to seeing everyone again tomorrow. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
A whisper in the breeze, it calls our name. Across the seas, we are the same. Through tides that rise, through storms that wane, we sail as one beneath the sun. One vision, one ocean, together in motion. We rise, we shine, we reach for the sky. One heart, one dream, through the waters we gleam. ASEAN, we are one till the end of time.
The stars above, they light our way. From golden dawns to dusky grays, we weave the threads of hope today. With every shore, we dream for more.
One vision, one ocean, together in motion. We rise, we shine, we reach for the sky. One heart, one dream, through the waters we gleam. ASEAN, we are one till the end of time. One vision, one ocean, together in motion. We rise, we shine, we reach for the sky. One heart, one dream, through the waters we gleam. ASEAN, we are one till the end of time.
I still remember the third sweater. You said it looked better on me than it did you. Only if you knew